Carrie.
Are you Carrie?
I'm not Carrie. Do I look like Carrie?
I don't know. I've only briefly looked at it. I just remember somebody with
No.
blondish looking hair. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
about
that's
as
it.
far.
We're
Yeah.
hoping it's work.
I've embedded it in the. So you're last on, are you? Yeah. Yeah. So it's important to recognise that this demonstrates that's like 5 years, 6 years. He was the national IT project manager and previous IT systems from so his continuous improvement, like quality and still get this youth housing project, youth scheme assessments, no major projects.
Thank you very much.
Because actually most of his top stuff is BAU, Bedding, Tom, which is his major project.
I need to get hold of him to speak about this onboarding thing. To see what he's been doing.
So I know that I drafted an email and sent it to Suzanne. Because I thought if I'm going to send it out to you and my team, it should go out to Tom as well. Yeah. I don't think we ever got round. I didn't want to send it out because I'm not sure that we discussed it. Suzanne and I had time to discuss it.
Yeah, you can. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi John, I'm around tomorrow afternoon and apologies about mangling your nose.
I said that.
Chatty look, who's spelled me
I
very
couldn't see who
good.
it was. I couldn't
Oh, it's a chap from the RTV.
Oh, right.
I think I'll probably send those back over. Find out Tony, we've never met in person. Where, did you come to Dublin? It's so long ago. Well, it feels so long ago. Yes, it would be. Yeah, you did. Yeah. And we implemented. Did you help us put Carsington in, or were you helping us replace Carsington? Get rid of it, yeah. So we implemented that on the 4th of April this year. It's been hard. Yeah. It will be good, but I think TLL will.
I always thought they would, and I think initially in replacing the systems, personally I thought you probably needed something turnkey and off the shelf that would do differential rates and whatever. And I think a couple of IT managers, you had an appetite for a bit of a journey, a bit of adventure. Nothing wrong with that, but I know at the time I think I said, well, it could be €500 this time. And I think since then, over the last year, I've been working with cooperative housing. So I've been over to Dublin a few times. I think Lorcan, the procurement chap, has been speaking to your procurement contact about.
Okay, can we take the seats? Can we take our seats now, please? Thank you. So we can make a start on this afternoon session. I hope everyone's been fed and watered, as they say. I'd like to welcome to the stage Mark Butler and Simon Goodwin from St Ledger.
Yeah. Are you going to open that, have you? Yours?
Yes.
Hiya, good afternoon. There has been some changes. Mark Coogan with us today, so it is myself, Simon Goodwin and Kevin Butler. So I'm Planned Maintenance Service Manager at St Ledger Homes, and we're here to talk about our WOW World at Work scheme. And mainly I'm here to introduce Kev, really, who's the linchpin behind the entire scheme. He is our Career Start Coordinator, but much more than that, he facilitates between all our stakeholders and partners in the scheme to ensure that it all comes together and runs as smoothly as possible. And then while the candidates are in placement, Kev supports those to get the most out of their 6 months with us in regards of employment with ourselves and with external companies as well. So sort of career support on CV writing, applications and those sorts of things, and career guidance. So I'll hand over to Kevin.
Thanks, Simon. Right, so I'm Kevin, not Mark. Mark, you'll see a picture of Mark later on, but no, that's okay. So my job at St Ledger, I'm this thing called a Career Start Coordinator, and in very simple terms, it's anything to do with employment. So as well as running the scheme that we're going to talk about shortly, I'm responsible for recruiting our apprentices, arranging work experience for young people to come in and spend a week or so with us, and also get to go around a lot of local schools doing assemblies, mock interviews, careers fairs and all that sort of stuff. So quite a varied role, and obviously we get to come here today. For those who don't know too much about St Ledger Homes, we're based in Doncaster, and we're an arm's length management organisation. Got one shareholder, which is the City of Doncaster Council, so they basically own us. You can see here some statistics established in 2005. And the bottom one, yes, we are named after the St Ledger horse race. We did have an apprentice this year at our interviews who thought it was the other way round. And he says, is the race named after you? And it's like, well, bearing in mind, I think the first race was about 1778. It would be cool, but no. When we were becoming an Almo, I think there was a competition amongst employees, and someone said, well, why not after the horse race? So I suppose if we'd have been in Liverpool, we'd have been Grand National Housing or something, so no. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about our World of Work scheme, We'll call it WOW. And first of all, and probably the most important thing, is to recognise it's a partnership. So it's between ourselves, the local job centre, and the local college, which in Doncaster, it's obviously Doncaster College. It works because all partners are actively involved and invested. And so if anyone after today is thinking, yep, this sounds quite interesting, it might be something we want to look at, it really is important to have good relationships with your job centre and the college, because if they're not involved, it probably wouldn't work. We do have some other stakeholders, other job recruitment agencies, Shaw Trust, various other people who sort of work with unemployed people. But yeah, I can't stress enough, it's a partnership. It was set up initially in 2013, so St Ledger Homes said, right, we want to come up with an offer for our tenants. So, yep, lots of meetings with the job centre, the college, and an initial design was formulated. The first courses began in 2014, and they were 2-week courses based at Doncaster College, and they were around getting people ready for employment. And then after that, our part was trying to get people either work experience with local employers, or jobs with local employers. But in the next 4 years, the courses developed. So it was seen as, okay, we need to move away a little bit from the getting people ready for employment, because St Ledger Homes had its own needs. And I'll talk in a while about a couple of the sort of current courses people do, but one at the time was we moved on to a little bit of employment, but a course around fencing. So teaching manual skills around erecting fences and everything. Why did we do that? Because St Ledger Homes was involved in erecting fences around our customers' properties. So the courses started to develop. Another course we formed was around cleaning. When a tenant leaves a property, you know, we all hope they're going to leave them like Buckingham Palace. Doesn't often happen. So after the main work has been done, we have a team of cleaners who go in and get the properties ready for the incoming tenants. So again, it was the need of the business that formulated the course. I started in 2018, and when I first started, I noticed that whilst we're getting a lot of people sign up to our World of Work scheme, not everyone, surprise, surprise, wanted to either erect fencing or work as a cleaner. So we were missing out on sort of providing help for a lot of people. So I asked management, I said, can I introduce a general employment offer to run alongside it? And that was agreed, and we'll talk about that in a moment. In 2020, when COVID hit, we had difficulties around getting people to come on the courses. Obviously, they had priorities elsewhere. And the college, and I'll fully explain how that works in a moment, but the college would say, if you've not got enough people, we can't run the courses. And it got to the position where we went to management and said, can we trial inviting along non-tenants of St Ledger Homes? And it was agreed. So the scheme was expanded. So in its current form today, you don't have to live in one of our properties. You've just got to live within the Doncaster Council area. There's been big advantages because of that. I mean, the mayor loves it because it's now a wider offer for the people of Doncaster. The job centre love it because they can offer it to more benefit claimants. 2024, we had a 10-year celebration. We had it at Doncaster College. We got a lot of the old people who'd come through the WOW scheme, the people who were currently on the schemes. We got a lot of the tradespeople who support the scheme. The college came, the job centre came, and it was quite a nice celebration. We also piloted a new course around office work, just to see if there was the demand for that, and that was successful. And then, in terms of the future, we see it continuing into the future, and as we'll explain, hopefully we'll be able to increase the offer. I think the problem, as in a lot of cases, is budgets at the moment. If we've got the money, we can do it. If we haven't, unfortunately, we can't. So, the scheme run, how does the scheme run? If anyone knows what a sector-based work academy programme is, in very simple terms, it's sort of run in collaboration with the job centre. Normally they are 3 stages. So with a swap, a benefit claimant can attend a course, can then do a bit of work experience, followed by a guaranteed interview for paid employment. With our scheme, we only do it 2 stage. So we have the course and then we have the offer of employment. So as you can see here, each of the courses we run, it's a 4-week college course, at the moment in either cleaning or multi-skills. We then say to people, do you want to apply for a guaranteed interview with a possibility of 6 months paid work? So if we now look at more detailed of how it works, and this is where the partnership working comes in. So when we're ready for a new course, we'll speak to Doncaster College, let them know when we need that date. Once that's agreed, we have a form you have to complete that goes to the job centre, and the offer of the course is then advertised across various platforms. So for example, it's on the St Ledger Homes website. The job centre will add it to their database, so their work coaches can discuss the course with the benefit claimants. So if any benefit claimant has said, you know, cleaning is an area of work I'm interested in, or construction, the work coach knows they can discuss it, tell them all about it, and then make a referral. So we set up an information session, and what happens there, we get lots of referrals in, and what you tend to find is to get 20 people to come to an information session, you've often got to invite 30 or even 40. You know, some people I think say they'll come just to get out the job centre. What we've found that really does work though is when a referral comes through, if it is say from the job centre, we will speak to that person as soon as possible, and we'll fill in any gaps in the information they might be looking for. And if we can start to get that relationship going, it tends to be the case they're more likely to then commit to coming to an information session. And the good thing with this scheme is, and again, this is something that really does work, is the scheme is totally voluntary. Okay, so it's a person's decision if they want to sign up to our World of Work scheme. It's their decision if they want to come to an information session or if they just want to get our general advice. So we don't force anyone to do anything, and that's been a big pull. You know, I think some benefit claimants, some tenants will say, the job centre's always telling me to do this, this, this and this. We don't, and it seems to work for us. So at an information session, all partners come along. So I will tell people about the World of Work scheme and the offer of work afterwards. The tutor will tell people about what they're going to do on the course. The job centre will tell them how it works with their benefits. So benefits are still paid during the courses, and the job centre will cover travel costs where possible. And it's only at the end of this information session that we then say to people, now do you want to sign up? So we're giving people an exit route at that point. And typically you might get 2 people who'll say, it's not for me, thank you very much, and that's fine. You know, we'd rather have people who are committed to coming on the course than people who feel forced. Most people will then say, yep, I'll sign up, which is always good news. So, the 2 courses we run, then they will often start. For the multi-skills course, what is taught are some basic joinery, painting, brickwork, groundworking. They will also do the health and safety level 1 on a construction site, and then that can lead them towards the CSCS card. For cleaning, they do all the stuff around COSH, infection control, all that sort of stuff. Now, even though some of the work that they sort of learn on the course is not relevant to the work they'll be doing with us, we like it because it gets people, for a start, used to health and safety, working safely. It gets people experience using the hands, learning some manual skills, bit of team working, all this sort of stuff, attention to detail. So it's almost like some of the softer skills is getting taught. The other thing that is always interesting is on day 1 of a course, people turn up and you get people who are very shy, they're very quiet, anxious, they'll sit, you know, at one end, they don't talk much. By day 3, they're already swapping names, you know, and chit-chat and all that sort of stuff. And we've had people on the last day of the course in tears because it's like, well, what am I going to do next week? I'm not going to meet Frank or Bob or Sheila, you know. They're all busy swapping phone numbers. We've had groups organise barbecue parties, nights out and all this sort of stuff. So again, back on the softer skills for building confidence, these courses are really good. You know, you're with like-minded people, you're all learning at the same level, etc. So what we then do on the first day of a course, in terms of the offer of employment, we take down some paper application forms and a job description relating to either a cleaning role or our multi-skills role. We still use paper application forms because we accept that people on the course, IT may not be their preferred subject, they may not have access to good IT, and what we don't want to do is put a barrier up for people, so we still use paper. We take it down and we'll say, right, we'll give you 3 weeks to decide if you want to apply for a guaranteed interview. We're not bothered if they've got no previous experience. It's all about them as a person, what they're going to learn on the course and how they sort of act on the course. And yet, when the course finishes, they will get a certificate of learning. We then come to the sort of pre-interview stage. So I return to college, I pick up the application forms, and before the interviews, we have a session with the college. We chose a few years ago not to require references for people, because if you've been unemployed for 3 years, 5 years, you're not going to get a reference, there's no point. So what we do, we have a conversation with the college and we say, tell us about the attendance of the person. Are they turning up every day? And we know that if the answer is yes, chances are they're going to turn up with us every day. And we ask them about attitude as well. You know, are they a team player? Did they cooperate? And again, we'll get a view on people's attitude. We joke that we don't want any miserable people working for us because we've got enough already. But, you know, and we have had other cases where people say, oh, this person, they do smell of alcohol and stuff like that. And, you know, it's a little red flag. So that conversation, along with the interview that we do, helps us form our decision. Now, we offer 6 temporary positions at the end of every course. And we offered 6 because the Job Centre fund the course, and the Job Centre always said, look, we've got to have value for money. We can't just have a course running where only 1 or 2 people benefit at the end of it. So we agreed on 6, and that works really well. For anyone who is successful, and at the interview we even get the college to set a couple of the questions just to test the knowledge, you know. So again, we're trying to keep it as informal as possible. We're not asking questions up there, they're relatively low level questions. We'll hopefully have 6 good candidates. We do have some people who really struggle on the interviews, you know, and that's a fact of life, and we're not going to fill all 6 if we think there's a person who we don't think they're going to turn up to work, or it's been reported that their attitude is not great. These are proper jobs that are offered, so we do need committed and dedicated sort of World of Work participants to join in. Now, they also have to do, before they start the 6 months paid work, they do 1 week unpaid work trial, and that is on the basis that they get to see whether they like us, and we get to see whether we think they're okay for the scheme. 99% of people pass that work trial, and they still get the benefits during the week. And then the week after, they start the 6 months paid work. And it is, as I said, it is a proper job. They're paid on the same day as everyone else. They join the pension scheme. They can leave if they want to. They get the same level of holidays, all the other benefits we get. We provide all the PPE, clothing. They get all the further training that any regular member of staff would get. You know, so they are treated basically as employees. And we think that's important because I know in the past sometimes people have said, oh, you're just a wow worker. And it's like some people felt a bit belittled by it. So no, they are full-time regular employees. And the work they do is also really important. Our cleaners, for example, one of our big KPIs is getting properties back into so families can move in, so we've got the set number of days, so their work is vital. The work that the multi-skills team do, they're working in local communities, doing groundwork in path pavement repairs, low-level gutter servicing, all of that. It's helping keep communities looking decent. The last comment is quite an interesting one. We offer them 6 months guaranteed work, and we can't offer anything beyond that, otherwise the scheme would come to an end. But we always say to people, you don't have to work for the full 6 months. If you see your dream job in week 1, tell us. We'll help you fill the application forms in. We'll help you prepare for the interviews. You know, I would love it if in the last month we had no one on the scheme because everyone's secured a permanent job. It means that the scheme is working exactly how it should be. Okay. We've yet to get to no one in the last month, unfortunately. So, yeah, as I said, the voids team, if you come through cleaning, we have people working with permanent cleaners, getting properties ready for new tenants, helping to meet the KPI target. And we've also recently had some of the people on the cleaning scheme now working with our community caretakers, clearing properties ready for incoming tenants. Simon, do you want to talk a little bit more about these plans?
I'm fortunate enough planned maintenance sits within my service area, and the WOW deliver a preemptive planned maintenance programme for me. So during that, we work on vulnerable bungalows only, low level, and they visit about 300 to 330 properties a year. And basically they use a Skyvac to clean the gutters, they check for gutter leaks, minor bits of pointing and brickwork, check the access and egress to ensure there's no trip hazards, define the boundaries of the property, and then that every property gets that preemptive maintenance delivered by the WOW team for us, and that's what they deliver on a 6 month base. That's a 12-month programme, 6 first cohort, 6 second cohort. Yeah.
Right. So, as we found out, not everyone wants to work for St Leger Homes, not everyone wants to be a cleaner or a multi-skills person. So our additional offer is around general employment help. So as you can see here, the usual stuff, help with CVs, application forms, interview preparation. What is really useful about my job, I think, is because I sit the other side of the table and interview for apprentices and various other people, I see the good, the bad and the ugly of interviews. With the world of work, in effect, you're sitting the candidate side of the interview table, so you're seeing the barriers, you know, the nerves, the lack of confidence and all this sort of stuff. So I'm able to see both sides, and one of the best bits of my job is when you can help someone on this scheme prepare for an interview, you know, and you hopefully give them all the good things to say at an interview and sort of leave out the negatives. We also send out a weekly email where we do local job searching. If we get told about jobs that no one else knows, we include them. We also include hints and tips. We talk about careers fairs. Anything around employment that we think is useful, we send out to the participants. And we also have a guide to seeking employment. I used to be a debt worker at Citizens Advice, and sometimes you'd see someone and then they disappeared. And when I came to this job, I thought, right, I'm going to draw up a guide so that if someone gets in touch once and we never see them again, they'll at least go away with this guide to seeking employment, which again talks about employment skills, but also about confidence and options for work. All of this is available to anyone at any time. So you can sign up to our World of Work scheme, not do a course. You can sign up and just do the course and not apply for a job. You can be interviewed, not be successful, still receive all this, or you can be successful and still receive the general employment help. And this route has also enabled a lot of our participants into work. And as probably people in this room might know, there's nothing better than getting a phone call from someone saying, I got that job, you know, thanks for your help. It really is nice. Oh, the wrong way. Right. I'm going back to Simon now because he's going to talk about the issue of money and budgets.
As I previously said, we use it to use a planned maintenance, preemptive maintenance, but we use 6 WOW employees every 6 months. We have 12 members of staff over the year, and we have a team leader permanently employed and a working charge hand. We did try to expand it past that, but it becomes quite challenging, and they're quite hands-on to get them into the work. Some of these employees have not worked for a considerable amount of time, so actually they do need that close support they can't really be left unaided or unsupported. So that's the ratio that works for us, and that comes at a cost, obviously. So it's about 300k per year. 213k of that is on employment cost, salary, the charge hands and the team leader, and then 87 on materials. But as I said, the return for that is we deliver a preemptive maintenance programme throughout every year on about 330 properties a year, which has reduced repairs in the area they're working, and it is very popular with ward members and other parties, obviously, to have the WOW working in their team. And we've also used them to deliver community projects where funding has been in. Did one in a village in Rosington in Doncaster where social isolation was quite high, and they recommended a scheme to build some park benches and some areas of outdoor space to encourage residents out of their homes and interact with each other. And the WOW actually delivered the entire works and got that ticked off, and it was a great success and really popular in Doncaster as well. Back to you, Kev.
So, two case studies, and some people might recognise the chap on the right, the absentee from today, so that's Mark. Gemma, one of our tenants, single parent, just short of 30. Oh, and Shaz said we can talk about it, don't worry, so we have got the authority. Single parent, just about 30. She said herself, life going nowhere, bored of looking at the same four walls. She wanted to do something. So she found out about our World of Work scheme, and she chose to do the multi-skills course. So signed up, and according to a tutor at college, she was the first one in every day. She was the first one who wanted to know how to use the different tools, machinery and equipment. She was just a little sort of energy bubble. She applied for one of the roles with us, and surprise, surprise, she was successful. And then 4 months into the 6 months, we had an apprentice plasterer's vacancy come up. And she applied, and she was by far the best candidate. So she then became an apprentice plasterer. 2 years into her apprenticeship, she won Apprentice of the Year at Doncaster College. She finished her apprenticeship last year and has now secured a permanent job with us, so she is now a plasterer. You know, she can swear as good as the men, I will say that. And she's only this tall, so I think even her friend said, well, you can do the skirting boards. But no, she's brilliant. She's a role model. And even college, when we do the information sessions, they talk about Gemma, so she's a little star. And then Sean, who is the middle chap, Sean was caring for his partner for about 10 years, and she sadly passed away. And Sean got in touch with the rents team, and again he said, oh, look, I'm really desperate, I've got no future, I really don't know what I want to do. And someone said to him, well, have you thought about our World of Work scheme? He got put through, and again he signed up to the course, did the multi-skills, secured himself a 6-month role, and then a job came up. I think it was a driver labourer's job, but Sean gets very, very nervous, and he swears as well. And so we coached him. It's like, please don't swear. Whatever you do, please don't swear during the interview. And he did the interview, and he's been successful. And he said to me one day, he said, oh, my former partner would be proud of what I've done, you know. And he spoke at our 10-year celebration, and we had people in tears when he told his story, you know. And if you go hunting down our annual review video, I think for last year, he's done a video about it as well. So, again, we're proud of Sean. And then the middle three chaps, Lee, the tall chap, did the WOW scheme, is now a roofing assistant. Simba, the middle chap, has recently got a driver labourer job with St Ledger. And Danis, the left-hand side, he's now become an apprentice plasterer. Yeah. We kind of like it where, if you think about it, the 6 months it's almost like the longest job interview you can have, and it shows us the reputation of the people. And so where a permanent vacancy comes up, if they express an interest, as long as we're not on the interview panel, we will help them through the process, you know. And so I think in the last 5 years we've had 16 people on the World of Work scheme secure permanent jobs. 4 have gone on to apprenticeship, so hopefully they will secure permanent jobs when that finishes. So we now see the World of Work scheme as a great route into construction for people who haven't had, you know, the skills or the look to some extent. And what we find is, I'm sure people know this, if you deal with people who've been unemployed for a period of time, you'll always get that commitment. They don't take it for granted, you know, a job. They're always smiling, you know, so it's really worthwhile. So why does it work? As I said at the start, it's a partnership and we all remain invested and active participants. Lots of communication, you know, every other week we're on to the job centre or the college. I don't know if anyone's ever come across a chap called Steve Palmer. He used to work for the construction trade, CITB, and Steve is the most infectious, multi-skills tutor at Doncaster College you will ever come across. You know, his enthusiasm is incredible. So he is a really good salesman for the scheme. For the participants, yep, voluntary, useful training. You can see some of the other benefits. And as I say, I think the softer social skills is something we probably underestimate, but when you see people grow over the 6 months, it really is incredible. And it works for us, gives us a pool of potential employees, as I say, contributes to our major targets. The mayor loves it, and assists with our community work. The college, yep, they're getting paid for doing the courses, and it's good PR and investing for them. And as I say, with the job centre, yep, they're obviously targeted with getting people into work. And we always think, oh, are they ever going to sort of pull the plug? No danger of it. They love it as well. So we all benefit, which is really nice. And I think that's about it. So thank you for listening. And
No, brilliant.
right.
Can't disappear yet. Any questions?
Yeah, can we go?
I say, absolutely love the scheme. It's fantastic. Brilliant. I love the tripart with yourself and the college and job centre. I think it really shows true collaboration and partnership. Absolutely love it.
Some of the wows have gone right way through from inception with WOW to Kevin to roofing assistance on our CDM sites, which are delivering re-roofs in Doncaster, and then we've upskilled them from roofing assistants to fully qualified roofers. So some of the wows have gone from real sort of ground roots, just coming into employment, been employed for long periods of time, to gaining actually full MVQ and being fully qualified roofers, which is fantastic.
Any questions? Yeah, Jen?
Yeah, it's just I think it's a fantastic scheme, really, really good. I just wondered, have any other housing providers approached you to sort of help, you know, replicate your method?
We've had, I think I got a call from Berners-lee Homes a while ago, a couple of years ago. I forget the name of the person. City of Lincoln Council. So a couple. But we always say if anyone is interested, you know, give us a call, come and visit us. You know, we can put you in touch.
Catch up with you about it, see if there's any partnership opportunities.
Yeah.
Really, it sounds like a great scheme.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? No? Sure, Kevin's back to get the stage. No, thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, last session with Kate Parker and Meg Lee. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, I've just realised the benefit of having to wear my glasses to see my notes is that I can't see any of you. Fabulous. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate. This is Meg. We're from Procure Plus. I think most of you will probably know us. We have, I don't know if I'm using the right words here, but a bit of a strategic partnership with Direct Works. You'll know the lovely Matt Jarrett, who's sat at the back. And you probably deal with us mostly on the procurement side of the business. The plus is baked into what we do. You can't have one without the other. And we're here kind of representing the plus side, continuing the theme of today. Your organisations probably call it social value, community benefits, something like that. A little bit kinder than just calling it plus. What we do in terms of community benefit, social value, the plus, is very similar to what other similar organisations will say they do. So whilst it could be quite a diverse offer, kind of running through us like Blackpool Rock is skills, training and employment, and there's kind of the standard one trainee or one apprentice position per million that gets written into all our contracts, and that's what the team manages. But Danny's gone, but we're really good at relieving CITB in particular of their funding, really good at it. Quite good at relieving City and Guilds of their funding. A bit of a track record at squeezing some money out of local authorities and combined authorities and things like that. So in fact, the money that we would normally spend on getting a trainee per £1 million or a job per £1 million or an apprentice per £1 million actually ends up being 4 per £1 million of spend, because we've got all of this extra funding coming in from different places. And it's not just about new jobs and new people coming in. So again, this morning we're talking about retention and upskilling. And over the last year, we've secured, I think it's the equivalent of about £500,000 worth of funding for training directly back to our customers, so people like you guys, to upskill their workforce. So that's a little bit about Procure Plus. We're a little bit of a group, so we also have an organisation called WAMT, Women and Manual Trades, that's part of PP. Women and Manual Trades is the country's oldest organisation supporting women in construction. It's a little bit older than me. It was 50 last year, and I'm not quite there yet. So established in 1975, and it was sort of 2 generations after World War II, when women, as part of the home front effort, were getting involved in sort of construction stuff, kind of after the equality and liberation movement. So again, there was this thought that, yeah, women can get involved in construction. Most of what WAMT did was in the southeast, and a lot of what it did was around offering services to private households. So it was a lot of sole traders, that kind of thing. And WAMT set up a directory of sole traders that households could engage with to have work done. When WAMT started in 1975, there was 1% of the trade workforce was women. Now it's just under 1%. Nowadays, it's just under 2%, so we've done a really great job in 50 years of doubling it, but there's obviously still a long way to go. Actually, with the programs that we run as Procure Plus, with sort of WAMT supporting us, we're currently running at 4.5% of the workforce that we engage with are women. So again, brilliant, but there's still a long way to go. And so that's where we're at the moment. As an industry, we're sort of looking at just under 2 in every 100 women who are working in trades. So, yeah, just under 2 of every 100 people working in trades are women. A slight aside, you will hear the statistic, and I think Danny mentioned it earlier, of between being 15 and 20% of construction being women. Women in construction did a phenomenal job back in the early part of the 21st century, after the London Olympics thing and the build of the Olympic Park, in getting women into the broader construction industry, so into professional roles, architects, surveyors, engineers, that kind of thing. And they took huge strides forward. So broader, bigger construction industry, including professional roles, absolutely we're up at 15-20%, but trades were still kind of bumping along the bottom a bit. But it's not all bad news. We heard earlier there were lots of statistics that were a little bit grim, but there are some glimmers of hope. So I've written down here, Golding Homes, I don't know if they're in the room, but they have around and about 20% of their workforce within their DLO are females. We know that up to 25% of students on construction courses in colleges, not just apprenticeships, but all types of courses, are female. So that issue of attraction, of getting people in, actually that's not ours to solve, because that work's already being done. What we're potentially looking at is the issue around retention, which has been touched on at points today as well. So the challenge is to work smarter rather than harder. Meg's going to share some case studies of some initiatives that we've established, and we're not saying that they're a silver bullet. They're not going to solve the issue of diversity within your workforce or employing and retaining and sustaining your workforce. But we have worked across the country. We've identified strategies and actions that make sense for employers. We might need to look at some partnerships, and Jen, you were asking earlier about whether people had been working with St Ledger and working together. It might require some partnerships with and some conversations with your HR teams to talk about ring fencing roles. It might need some conversations and partnerships with your L&D teams around whether it's always apprenticeships or whether you look at other types of training, looking at different training providers, so to find candidates, and maybe working together with other employers to share resources. But it's not for us to solve the problem. It's for us to do our little bit that helps solve our problems of engaging and retaining our workforce. So I'm going to hand over to Meg briefly.
Hi everyone, I'm Meg Lee and I am the Employment and Training Manager for Women in Manual Trades at Procure Plus. So I've actually only been at Procure Plus for 9 months, and I just want to give you a bit of background about my story before I started as well, because it'll kind of make you understand why I'm so passionate about getting women into manual trades or into jobs that people might say that they shouldn't be in. So I joined the Army at 16 and I spent 12 years in the Royal Artillery flying drones. I then came out of there and was faced with a stint of unemployment. Believe it or not, Scarborough doesn't have a lot of drone pilots there, so I didn't really have any work to go into. So for my sins, I ended up joining the prison service as a prison officer at a men's category A prison. Yes, that was very interesting. Luckily, after that, I did get the job with Procure Plus, and that, like I said before, that's why I'm so passionate about getting women into the roles that people might not think that they can. So all I'm going to talk to you about today is some of the different initiatives that we've actually done and the pathways that we've created. So the first one that I'm going to talk you through is the 3-2 programme, and that's Carrie's story, which I will show you a quick clip on. So the 3-2 paid placement programme, it is a bit of a tongue twister. You'll get it in the end. I'm nearly there after 9 months. So basically, it was developed by Women in Manual Trades in partnership with local colleges, and it was aimed at women enrolled onto construction trades that actually weren't already in the construction industry. The structure's simple. It says it on the tin. So it's 3 days at college, and then for the other 2 days, they will then work alongside a contractor. So for this then, the participants will get paid employment for the 2 days that they are working, which helps them gain that knowledge and experience that they wouldn't if they were doing another role, say for example at a tanning shop or Tesco's. So that just means that they then can gain that experience, which hopefully will then bring them to either full-time employment or an apprenticeship once they finish the placement. So the placement can last anything from a couple of weeks up to a year, going on to the next academic year. We've currently got 2 girls at Leeds College of Building that were on the level 1 plumbing. They did 6 weeks placement and then went on to the level 3 gas engineering, which started today. So it just shows that, you know, they can build that knowledge and experience that they wouldn't have before. It was piloted in Manchester before I started with the social value team that actually created it, and 6 of them actually went on to full-time employment and still are in employment now. So it has been proven. So what are the benefits of the 3-2 then? So the first benefit is obviously it's real paid experience. Like I said before, it's not just classroom learning. It means that they can have the experience on the tools as such and not doing something else what they're not getting paid to do. And like I said, it's a route into sustainable employment. So for the colleges then, it's an improved engagement and success rates, and it's stronger links with the industry and better student outcomes. For the employer, it's access to pre-trained, motivated workers, and obviously it's a lower recruitment and training cost. If you're invested in them a couple of months, weeks beforehand, you know what they're all about. It's almost like a prolonged work experience for them. And then for the industry as a whole, we'll help tackling the gender imbalance that we're currently facing, and it builds a more diverse and future-ready workforce and strengthens collaborations between employers and the education system. I'm now going to put you over to Carrie on a video. I'm hoping the tech works, I'm sure it will. And it's just a few words from her as Carrie did the 3-2 initiative. Please work.
I started my adult career in retail, in visual merchandising, and progressed to management within that. And then in the last 3.5 years, I've changed career, and I have now just qualified last October, so it will be nearly a year I've now been qualified as a fully fledged joiner. Dad's actually what we call the trader Sparky, so an electrician. But he always had me building small bridges and all sorts, and it was the happiest I ever was. When I decided to make the change, your career is a big part of your life. So by the time we got to COVID, I was like, I need to make a change. I need to do something different. And I'm gonna have, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now. Nobody's gonna do this for me. I'm just gonna have to be brave and take this leap. So that was my turning point. And I have to say, I'm so grateful I did. So having the confidence to do it was definitely step one. And then step two, when I actually did do it, when I got to college, it was then trying to get myself into an apprenticeship. And that was a little different because obviously you normally expect someone at 16 to be going for an apprenticeship, not somebody in their mid-30s. So yeah, that was definitely barrier number two. Of course, so the 3-2 model is basically 3 days in college, so doing a normal college day, and then two days on an actual building site or social housing, maintenance, whichever road you take. Having the time in class to do the work, and then having the reality of working on site, it was so good because you actually got to feel what it was like to go and do these things that you're hearing about on paper, and you get told all these stuff in tutorial books, and you do them as mocks, sort of like examples, like mock skirting. But there's nothing really compared to actually going on site and doing the real thing. Basically from day dot they were really supportive, not in just for like having an interview to find the company that I'm now working with, but also like things as simple as setting up my SES card so that I could go onto site, having reading materials to study before that, and also just having somebody to talk to. So at the end of my 3-2 initiative, I actually had an interview with the company that I've been working alongside with Procure Plus, and it opened up doors in the sense that the company were very pleased with the work that I've done, and they actually offered me the full-time apprenticeship, which I've then obviously completed with them, and I'm now still with the company. But equally, if I hadn't done that route and I'd not completed that, it would have given me the experience that I needed to perhaps approach other companies or find other apprenticeships.
I think Carrie's story there highlights the impact that this initiative made, and you can see how confident that she is, and she's actually still with Jackson & Jackson now. So moving on from there then, I'm now going to speak to you just about the work that we do with HMP Style, a partnership that we've had since 2022. So since working with HMP Style, we've been delivering introduction to construction training and also DFE boot camps within the last 12 months. Since 2022 then, we've supported 30 women into training, and we've also supported 8 women into employment. We've also had ongoing support through the prison employment leads and the resettlement teams to help the women going into employment when they're eligible for release on temporary licence on post-release. So what's the benefits then of this partnership? Well, it offers a second chance, and I think that's the big thing with the roots to stability and purpose through work. And I think that's when we go speak to the women at HMP Style, that is what they want. They just want that second chance, and helping them through that with employment outcomes is a good way to go. So what are the employer benefits of having ex-offenders for employment? So over 2/5 of employers say that hiring ex-offenders increases workforce diversity, and it's an employment is key to reducing reoffending. And like I said before, most people just want a second chance. Many prisons already offer industry-level skills training and give employers access to ready-made talent pools. This approach also meets social responsibility goals whilst addressing skills shortages. So our third one then is our ex-military gas engineering pathway. As you may know, this one is quite close to my heart, and I did create it myself. Like I said, I did have 6 weeks unemployed when I left the army, which is really scary when you've got a mortgage to pay, which I'm sure that you'll all understand. So the reason that I came up with this then, one was for anyone that was coming out of the services. I knew that there was a niche there, that in the last 3 months of services, if anyone knows, you still get full pay the last 3 months that you're actually working for the armed forces. So I thought to myself, right, is there a course out there, which I know, Raf will kill me now for saying don't do a short course, but is there any course out there that they can get paid whilst they're still in service, you know, for that last 3 months? So Laura's story, Kate has actually nicely put some case studies on there if you want to take a look at them or read them after. But Laura's basically was in a former Royal Military Police officer with 15 years service, so she'd not had any background in gas engineering, but she knew that she wanted to do a trade. She joined our military gas pathway, which was designed for female service leavers with 3 months service to go. And the pathway that we have is in collaboration with Brookhouse Training. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of them before, but they produce a course that you can become a fully qualified gas engineer within 6 months. Within that 6 months, they do an 18-week placement, which is they do a placement and guarantee the placement with a reputable employer of their choice. But what we're looking at is implementing that into a DLO, and then hopefully, if then you take them on, you do an improver course for a year after that. So what's the benefits of the gas engineering pathway then? Well, as we know, veterans bring leadership, resilience and problem-solving skills, and a lot of hiring military staff has said that it strengthens teams and diversifies workforces. It's, like I said, it promotes a diverse and inclusive workforce, and one that reflects a wider range of experiences and strengths. This pathway enables employers to gain a fully qualified gas engineer that would only require help as an improver once employed. Like I said, if you want to have a check on them, then you can have a look at the case study that's on your table. Okay, back over to you.
That's all right. Okay. So we've heard some great stories. We've got the 3 case studies that we've brought. Actually, the one that we just heard before us from St Ledger was amazing, and I certainly, having only heard you speak for about 10 seconds on Sean, kind of was like, oh, something cutting some onions in here. So it's really nice to hear these stories. It can be really inspiring, but I know that tomorrow we've all got KPIs to meet, we've all got commercial decisions to make, and this isn't a business critical issue, is it? Getting some more women into your organisations. That's, you know, when it gets back to it tomorrow, this isn't going to be a priority for you. Or is it? One of the things I've not put up here, but last year, maybe 2 years ago, the Ombudsman, who is not an organisation that we normally deal with, were looking at the complaints that they were receiving. And unsurprisingly, repairs and maintenance were the source of most of the complaints that they were receiving from social housing tenants. And they were seeing that the numbers were going up, the numbers weren't coming down, and when they researched it, their conclusion was that trust had gone, that when a social housing tenant was reporting that something needed doing, they were expecting there to be a problem, and when a contractor was going into a house, they were expecting to be complained about. They were expecting something to go wrong. Trust had completely broken down. And so the Ombudsman released a report called Repairing Trust. I'm sure it's something that you all keep under your pillows at night and read daily. But they reached out to us about the Style project working in the local women's prison, because they'd seen it online somewhere, and they said that, you know, they thought that those sorts of initiatives were things that would really help repair trust and develop trust between communities and housing providers. And actually, if you read, this is, sorry, a bit of a shameless plug, but if you read the report, it has lots of case studies in it, and it says an organisation in the Northwest or an organisation in Central England or whatever. And then for ours, it says Procure Plus does this, because they were so impressed by what it was we were doing. And actually, if you go and hear the Ombudsman speaking, they keep talking about us, which is unusual for the Ombudsman to be talking about an organisation like us, but actually just shows the impact of what we're doing on the social housing sector. It's not just that it's really nice that we're working in prisons and we're giving people a second chance. That is really nice, but it's actually making an impact on the sector as well. And why women? Because there could be loads of other types of people in your communities that it would make sense to employ, and absolutely, it could be loads of other different types of people, but we know anecdotally from speaking to you guys and people in similar organisations that a lot of your refusals are down to people feeling vulnerable and not wanting to have particularly men in their houses doing repairs and things like that. So we think that by engaging more with women and diversifying the workforce in that way, it's going to make the organisations and the work that you do more efficient. Up here, glasses off. So I've got some stats up on there. PwC do a report every year. Again, something that probably sits with that Repairing Trust report that you're all reading every day. But they look at women in the workforce. And what they say is that if women entered the workforce at an equal level, I'm not talking about equal pay, I'm not talking about women being paid more, but I'm talking about women entering the workforce, it would increase the GDP by approximately £43.5 billion by 2030. Now, that's not all coming into St Ledger Homes. That's not how it works. But some of that is going to come back into your communities if you're focused, and if we're all focused on improving the diversity of our workforce. We know, and Carrie mentioned it in her case study, that women will change careers and enter the construction workforce at around about late 20s. So there were some questions earlier on about, but if we take apprentices on, then they leave to go for loads of money, and then we don't get them back again until later on in their career. But we know that particularly for women, stability is more important. So if we're doing our jobs properly when we're engaging with some of these people, and we're explaining that a job with you guys, yeah, it's not £300 a day. If it is, I'm in the wrong job. But it's sick pay, it's holiday pay, it's a pension. You know, you can be on 75 grand at £300 a day, but you're having to then, you know, if you're off sick, you're not getting paid that. If you want to go on holiday, you're not getting paid that. And if there's a bit of downtime, if you're not working at full pelt, you're not getting paid that. So working in our sector is a lot more secure and a lot more sustainable, and that makes it really attractive to this group of people. It also, so we've talked about the Ombudsman, now we'll talk about the regulator, our favourite people. Because if we're getting women in, then they're being paid more, they're being paid better, households are earning more, therefore they're going to be paying their rent. And that is, I mean, that's business critical to all our organisations, isn't it? That rent's being paid. That then feeds back into the regulator of social housing and our viability scores and all of that kind of thing, because we're getting rent paid more regularly and more sustainably. Having our workforces better reflect our communities feeds into our consumer standards, directly feeds into our consumer standards. So adopting some of these programmes, whether it's WAMPed, whether it's the WOW thing that St Ledger are doing, but all of these things actually are really business critical to us, or should be business critical to us. So, that was my little preach. I think I'm handing back to you for what next, and to explain the little things that have just appeared on your table.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think I need that again, do I?
No.
So we're just going to do a little group practical session now. If you can, they were supposed to be in envelopes, but they're not. They should all be gathered together. If you can just grab them. I think there is only 10 of each, so if you are on any back tables, can you just condense, please, into 10? So all we're going to do with this question set is just amongst yourselves have a bit of a discussion of all the 5 questions, and then we'll reconvene in about 15-20 minutes and discuss what findings you've got. Thank you. just start wrapping up your last questions and then we'll start discussing in about 2 minutes. Right, if you just want to finish off there, and then we'll just discuss each question. So all we're going to do now is just go around each table, have a chat with what answers you've come up with and see if there's any reoccurring themes there. So anyone that want to volunteer or be voluntold?
Yeah, we'll go first.
Thank you.
Go on, Jen.
What do you want to say?
So just, just say this.
Well, we went through all the questions. We felt most of the answers all resonate within those questions. So, workforce challenges, we talked about resilience, workforce training, we talked about single points of failure as well, how we seem to fall on that one all the time. Definite lack of skills, we know that, we've seen it all throughout today, it's been the theme today. We know and recognise there aren't enough female trades. We know where we are at this moment in time and what we need to do about that. But we were saying about there's a risk factor around that as well in terms of doing something different because of the sector we're in. Obviously, it's quasi public sector, and we are to a point restricted about what we can and can't do within reason. That's not a reason not to do it, but I think we're working within the constraints, but we need to do more. So we challenge ourselves, we need to do more, we get that. There's a stigma around what we do in the sector, I think. I don't think there's anybody actually telling people what kind of career they can have. We talked about pathways from apprentice through to chief exec. Where are those pathways? We talked about succession planning, you know, and then this other point about how we get in our own customers, which why the wow was really on this table anyway, was we were impressed with that because that's getting customers into work. And you know, it's a self-fulfilling, Michael, of this self-fulfilling prophecy. If they're working, they can pay the rent, reduces benefit, creates a community, so it makes sense. We felt that schools are a challenge because from an education point of view and from the fact they're not selling around what you could actually do. I think there's more of a thrust now to go to university. But why couldn't that be an apprenticeship anyway? Anyway, I won't put in that. Salary we think is an issue. There are definite regional and geographical differences as well. Colleagues here from Dublin, they were talking about, you know, slightly different to what we were experiencing. So that's interesting to hear. Talked about draconian processes, and we do need to think out the box. I know we all say it, but do we really do it? I'm not sure we do, and I don't think we have ourselves to task. 3 things we felt that was partnerships. We need to invest in residents. Again, we think that's self-fulfilling. Again, selling the sector, promotion, definitely engaging with customers. We know we do some of that, but not really about what you guys have been talking today up on the stage. There is a real need to invest in communities. That's not just us either. I think that's as a nation as well. Improve the planning. That point was made this morning with Danny as well. It was ready to go on the table about if we had a good 5 or 10 year plan, we could all plan around that instead of it being year after year. So we signal rather than actually, rather than that longer term planning.
Brilliant. Thank you. I know that Kate is scribing there while she's saying this. I'm not just taking it all in and not listening. Next table then, please, just for any of your findings. Yeah, thank you.
Making sure that teams are inclusive in embracing female workers into repairs teams. You know, a lone worker working in a male team may not feel accepted and therefore will become a retention risk and leave the sector. On the impact piece, we said we'd rather focus on 5 years than 12 months because it might just be like sticking a plaster over it over the next 12 months. But is there an opportunity to offer sort of tasters and secondments to existing female employees that are maybe working within planning or customer care departments, that your existing employees, to get them out into the field to taste the repairs sector? Could schools be doing more to offer advice and career suggestions to schools, to girls within schools at the ages of sort of 12 to 14? In terms of what was it? What might these challenges be an opportunity for? We'd said like embracing generational change. So there is room now for 2 electricians in one household because partners share the load far more. Whereas 20, 25 years ago, the reality is that probably wouldn't happen. There's definitely an opportunity for the second job piece where females can come back into the industry and undertake it as their second role. There's probably a challenge within females feeling, what happens if I go into the industry and I fall pregnant? Will I be able to carry on with my role throughout the sort of 8.5 months that I continue to work while I'm pregnant? What do we need to work in partnership who do we need to work in partnership with to make this happen? Schools and colleges came through in our discussion quite a bit. Are schools, again, doing enough at an early stage to open up the opportunity for both construction and repairs to girls? And then what things can I do about this and when? I'd put down here, personally, speak to my own daughter, who's 14, about this career path, because I've never spoken to her about it, and she's 14. So that sort of is indicative of the overall challenge, really. And that was it from us.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
Middle table, Kate's been there, so I'm happy, unless you want to have a chat.
Been kindly volunteered. Oh, thank you. We talked a lot about culture on our table, and I don't know, bridging different cultural gaps maybe, and the difference between what some vocal members of staff might express as their feeling and what's coming up in kind of internal surveys, and just kind of dealing with the reality of that and perhaps empowering people. And a lot of the solutions were around talking about it. We also talked about just having a bit more processes and things around culture. Opportunities for us. We didn't want to be around in 5 years. No, not just me. That's Derek. I can drop him in it, right? If he drops me in it. But 12 months and 3 years, we had like grand plans. And then lots around challenges and opportunity. I mean, it felt like quite a lot of it was around talking about the challenges with teams, and also with other people who are perhaps kind of in similar challenges, and kind of learning from one another and collaborating around what works. So this kind of forum, I guess.
Thank you. Just some more notes from the final 3. Anyone want to? If it's already been said, then don't worry, but if there's anything that you want to speak about, just so Kate can note it down, and then it's moving forward with the notes.
We sort of touched on that there's an overriding sort of stigma, I guess, attached to social housing to a degree, with working environment and you know, compared to a commercial building site, as an example. You walk into a nice clean environment, it's, you know, there's nothing to sort of turn your nose up at, or it's all laid out for you, whereas obviously, you know, if you're going into a recently vacated void that's just been emptied and not particularly cleaned down too well, you know, you're going into something which isn't attractive to go and work in. So I think that that's something which is been around for a long time and will continue to be around, and that's why a lot of the guys that work within social housing need a bit of a pat on the back for it. But yeah, that's what we touched on. Timescales, God, it's been the way it's been for a long time. Will it ever change? I don't know. There's a potential to bring in cleaning companies prior to a repair. Is that cost effective? Probably not, but there's definitely like an overriding sort of stigma out there. You know, oh, social housing, I wouldn't want to go into somewhere where there's things all over the walls and needles and potential things. So I think that's something which is definitely an issue touched on. Cool.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm just conscious of time. It's time to... Anyone?
We covered ageing workforce and
Oh.
females as well, so it's quite similar to the stuff that's already been spoke about. But one thing Kim did mention about females in repairs and maintenance and trades, we feel like there's still an unconscious bias about bringing females into a repairs and maintenance role from both sides, from females themselves. So I would give the example that we run a block release model for our apprenticeships, and one of the comments I've made is that it might put some females off going to staying away from home with potentially 11 males and they're the one female for a week a month. Not everyone's going to feel comfortable doing that, so it's how do we change that perception, and how do we make females feel comfortable and make them feel like they're respected within this sector as well.
Thank you. Brilliant. No, thank you for that feedback. Obviously, Kate will put it into a bit more of a format, and then we can look at what we can do moving forward. I just want to end on, I know that many of your DLOs and certain organisations will have different initiatives and different pathways, but what I wanted to come here and kind of push out is that we just need to collaborate, share the ideas and pathways for women to enter the construction arena, and together we can remove these barriers, the challenges, and create a more diverse workforce. Thank you.
Okay, no questions on that. Thanks ever so much, ladies. That was excellent. Brilliant presentation. That's it. That's a wrap for us for today. I'd like to thank all our speakers. I think the theme has really run through every one of those presentations. It's great that everyone that's got up has actually, referred back to what's gone on previously. So thank you to everyone that's spoken today. It's really appreciated. You never failed to deliver. Thank you. Trying to read in, I'm the same way. I can't read my glasses. With so much pressure going on, it's just great to see there is some really, really great work going on. We know, and I think the comment was made there, go back to the office tomorrow and, we start again. It's almost rinse and repeat. So let's try and not forget what we've picked up today, because it is important, very important. And if we really want success, I know you'll go away from today and you'll make it work, but let's keep remembering that and keep the conversation going. Thank you for all your support again today. Thank you for turning up and getting involved and being brave enough to ask the questions, because I think sometimes you've been in audiences where we've hardly had any questions and I've had to do lots of questions again. So well done again to all of you for today, and thank you for being on time. Just one request: can you dump your lanyards on the table there if you wouldn't mind, please? The slides and the recordings will be available. We'll get them out to you as soon as possible. And it just leaves me to wish you all a safe journey home, and thanks for coming. Thank you.